Okay, so this is the follow-on video showing you how to add the vertical suspender parts to your bridge. The one thing I noticed if you do a top-down view, your cables are hanging out in space, so there's not a road platform or support structure under there. I would think you want something down there, so I'm just going to create a sketch out here so that you have something that your vertical suspenders will attach to. And I actually want it to be centered on that part, so let's see if I can draw this end piece here. All right, so you want this suspension cable to be roughly in the middle of this distance here. I noticed it looks like your circle's not quite in the middle. All right, just forget about that dot. Get that in the middle. I'm trying to do this relatively quickly. So I'm going to extrude this up. Let's see. I'm going to say up to that face, but then I want it offset so that there's almost like a curb side to it. I'm not sure. The units here are a little funny. Obviously, your bridge is only a few inches big, but all right, so that gives you a side platform for the bridge. All right, the next thing you want to do is create a sketch on this platform. That's just the circle that represents that cable coming up. So I'm going to create a sketch here. And you want it to be a little circle. You're not going to see it below that. We're actually looking through the cable right now. I also want to make sure that we get one suspension in the middle of your bridge. So to do that, I'm going to drag there. I'm going to drag along until, do you see the that little glyph showed up that looks like the midpoint? So if you look, I'm on the line, it just shows coincident, and then as I get near the middle of that line, it shows to midpoint. So I'm going to drop that down and turn that into a line that represents the midpoint, and I meant to turn that into a construction line. So there you go. Now I'm going to get the midpoint constraint, and pick that. Oops, I already had that picked. Midpoint in that circle, and what that does is it puts this circle on the midpoint of that line, and hopefully that's over your, or directly under your cable, which it is. I'm just going to add one last dimension to that circle because it should not be as big as your suspension cable. So I call it an inch. That makes those vertical cables much smaller. Okay, so that is the first cable, and what we're going to do is extrude that up. But before we do that, I want to go back into this sketch and create multiples of that cable that goes left and right. So let's see, I'm going to go to this, the linear pattern tool. And I'm going to pick that circle. And as you see, it starts patterning it automatically to the right. This is how many you want. So this is going to be up to you. I'm going to call it 7. And this distance, you're going to actually need to figure out what that distance is going to be. So actually, I'm going to get out of the linear pattern tool again. And I'm going to draw a line that shows me how far half that bridge is. I guess you could just measure it too. And I'm going to make sure that this point is on coincident with that line. And now if I measure that, that tells you how far half the bridge is. So it's 383.7, we'll just call that 384. So now when I pattern this, we want to have, let's say 7 of them. And the distance between them is going to be that number that I just got. I think that's what it was. And divide that by 7 because we have 7 instances. Now if you look, we should have 7 circles going down this length. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to do another linear pattern, but going the opposite direction, and it's going to be identical, except it's going in the other direction. So this will be 7. It's going to be negative. Oops. And now there are 7 circles going that way, so you should be able to hit the green check, and we have circles on both sides of the center that are going to be our vertical cables. It's up to you how many you want. And now what you can do is just say extrude all of the, you don't want new, so just say add. We're going to make sure you get only the circles. You don't want that entire bridge side coming up. And now I'm going to say up to next. And so what up to next does is it automatically finds the next part feature, which is the cable. And hopefully this works for you as well. Sometimes I get some problems. Just make sure you're getting only the circles. And now you can go through and pick every one of these. I'm going to do that and pause the video. Okay, I only selected the 7 on one side because I'm going to mirror it then. So to mirror something, you can just click on this. Let's see, that's going to be the right plane you're going to want to mirror on. There it is. It's sort of hiding under the bridge. So the entities to mirror, make sure you change this to feature. Otherwise, it thinks you want to mirror the entire part. So I'm going to mirror that, and the mirror plane is going to be if you can't seem to select it like I'm not able to, you can pick it over here. And now you can hit the green check. And we now are almost done. You should be able to turn this plane back on that you did when you created the mirror for the cable. And we can mirror again everything else. So again, change that to feature. The features to mirror, you want to mirror yeah, that's the box that we put over here. And now the mirror plane is going to be this one. And now I'm going to turn my planes back off that I turned on. Oops. And that should do it. I'm not sure if you want to then extend the road. You could just mirror this one whole time again so that you get 2 of them. That's up to you.